what's up, Scrappy Peeps? It's Del from Inkie Quill, and today I'm up with a double page Project Life spread. That's a bit of a tongue twister, that one. And I'm up with a Project Life challenge over on the Citrus Twist blog. And today I'm challenging you to use a square page protector. Now, I've talked about it before, but square page protectors drive me bonkers. If you've ever bought a mixed set of Project Life plastic page protectors, then you would have got a square one in there somewhere. And it's just something about, I don't know, it's just something about the squares. I think as a Project Lifer, I've been doing this since 2013, and I'm so used to the rectangular formats of 3x4 and 4x6 inch photos that when you throw a square at me, it kind of it messes things up. I think it's kind of like I'm so used now to 9x12 and 8.5x11 layouts that I struggle with 12x12s, the square format. It's just, does anyone else feel the same? Let me know in the comments if you feel it difficult to change between rectangular and square formats, whether that's Project Life or traditional, like larger layouts. So I'm doing this. This was originally a 9x12 sized page protector, and I just snipped off the top 3 squares so that it's just 9 squares, 3x3. And I'm just trying to figure out my embellishments. So the first thing I always do is I pick my cards, and I lazily just used some of the other cards to make sure that they were cut to the right size. The thing that I do like about this page protector, it's one of the few things, is that I'm still able to use the Project Life cards in it because each of the squares are 3x3. And so all I have to do is just chop off a little bit of the Project Life cards to make them fit. Whereas when I was doing 12x12 Project Life scrapbooking and I'd go to use the page protectors, they were 4x4, and so the Project Life cards were too small to fit, so I'd have to use scrapbooking paper or figure out a way to kind of Frankenstein some cards together to make one giant card. So I'm going through and I'm trying to figure out, first of all, what embellishments I want on these cards, because that's kind of where I start off. I like to start off with the cards first, because when you're tucking embellishments into the corners of the photos, like little embellishment clusters, it's a lot easier to squeeze in the little bits, whereas I'd rather get rid of the big bits first and stick them down exactly where I want to, so I'm not stuck trying to make a giant label work on a teeny tiny photo. This layout was from last year, so I'm catching up on some 2017 layouts, and I desperately need to print. I think this afternoon maybe I might print some photos, because the problem with printing is Archie finds my Canon selfie photo printer very entertaining, and he likes to try and steal the photos out before they've finished printing. So I kind of have to do it either up high or like on a high bookcase in our lounge room, or when he's napping. So we'll see how we go. I'm just going through and I'm using those little puffy hearts as a bit of a repeating motif across this Project Life spread. And the thing that I love about Project Life is that I don't have to think too much about it. I did pause the camera then and did some journaling off camera because my hand gets in the way, so you can't see what I'm doing anyway. But I love that I can just pick either a couple of products. So here I'm working with the July Pocket Life kit from Citrus Twist. I can just pick a limited supply. That's the trick to getting these Project Life pages done quickly. And I can also pick a couple of things that are going to repeat across the spread, and a couple of colors that are going to repeat across the spread. And by just doing those few little steps, it can make the whole page look cohesive without too much. You do have to think a bit, but not too much thinking. I'm using these puffy stickers, which I can't get enough of. I love these I love the font of them, and I haven't had ones that are this blue, and it was actually what inspired me to choose this page to do, because it's basically the exact same blue that is in Archie's little Bonds onesie that he's wearing in these photos. I'm adding a dash line, and I should add that both this whole process only took me 25 minutes. I've sped this video up double time, and so I really do recommend, if you are struggling with project life and you find that it's taking you too long or it's stressing you out, just limit your supplies, choose a kit to work with, and just try and start with your filler cards first, and then work with just adding, if you want to, some little bits to your little embellishments to your photos. Now, I you know me, I like embellishments, so I embellish a lot, but the thing with project life is that it can be whatever you want it to be. If you just want to put photos in and literally just write on a card, that's project life. If you want to treat each single little page protector like its own layout, that's project life too. It's all about finding what works with you. And in my first year, I have a flip through here on YouTube of my first album. If you look, I think it's Inkie Time Travels. If you look through Inkie Quill album flip through, you'll find it, and it's my 2013 album, and I was really just experimenting with a lot of different styles and figuring out what worked for me. So if you're interested in starting, just jump in, have a go, and use the supplies that you've already got. You can always make things work for project life. Choose the little embellishments. Here I'm going through the cards. I'm trying to figure out what to do on the other side, and I wanted to try and use the back of that card which says all things happy. So that bottom middle card is actually the back of the one on the other side, and I was tossing up whether I wanted to use it or not, and in the end I do, and it was rather appropriate for that photo. I don't often use the backs of the previous cards, if that makes sense. I don't know why, I just tend to not, and most people don't, but you definitely can. I'll show you right here that you can. You've just got to be careful that you don't do anything like stapling that'll go right through to the other side, or I have also written with textures, like did some brush lettering which also bled through. So just be careful that you don't do anything that will show through on the other side, and you'll be right. I wanted to make sure also, when I picked the cards that I was going to use for this page, that they weren't all white. I kind of needed a little bit of colour in there, and for a little while I was picking 3 cards that all had a big white journaling space, and I didn't need that much journaling here, and I also wanted a bit of a pop of colour, so that's why I picked that Happiness Is. So I'm just going through, this was Father's Day weekend last year for us in September, and it was the first time that Aaron's grandparents met Archie, which was really sweet. And so there's lots of photos, and I also stole that centre photo off my sister-in-law's Facebook. I'm pretty sure it was hers, or was it my stepmother-in-law's? It was someone's Facebook, and I stole it off there because, you know, I do like to stalk my friends and family's Facebook for little memories to include in my project life too. This one here, this photo was originally a 4x6. Well, it wasn't quite 4x6. I'd cropped it down a little bit smaller than that, and so it was just too small for the pocket. So what I did is I got an offcut from one of the other project life cards that I'd cut down, and I just stuck it on the side of it, so now it's nice and giant. I grabbed some of the papers that are included in the July Pocket Life kit, this beautiful black and white heart, and it's got little pops of yellow hearts in it, and I thought that would coordinate well with the yellow in that stripy card on the left hand side. And also the wallpaper at Aaron's nan's house is quite, it's not yellow, but it's kind of got a mustardy kind of undertone, so those colors all went in well together. I'm also adding a little label here because I just want, and I stuff it up, I stuff it up because we took 2 photos. We took a photo of just, so that photo there is just Aaron's dad and stepmom and his brothers and sisters and us. And then we took another photo that has the grandparents in it as well. And so I didn't look carefully enough and I thought it was the one with the grandparents in it, but actually that's in the next page of my album and that's a full layout. So I messed up and I wrote 4 generations when really it's only 3. And so I do a bit of a sneaky and cover it up. I managed to cover it up because I really wanted to use that label and it was already stuck down and it wasn't coming up. So, you know, my motto is you can always cover it up, and it's true. You can somehow find a way to cover it up. It might not look how you originally intended it to, but you can always make it work. I'm going through and I'm repeating those same beautiful blue alphas on this side as well, and it was a bit of a road trip here. We travelled, well, it's meant to be about 4 hours, but the trip home took us 7 hours because someone was not happy, and I'll give you a hint, it wasn't Aaron or I. Little Mr. Moo was just not feeling like being in the car. He just didn't want to be in the car seat. And this is when I realised that I've stuffed up. So I just snip off a bit of paper that was a cut off from one of the journaling card from one of the Project Life cards that I snipped down, and I just use it to overlap and we're all good. But yes, so this road trip home was painful. We just couldn't bring him happiness. And in the end, I actually had to sit in the back seat. We had to rearrange the car and our bags and things. So I sat in the back seat with him, holding his hand for the whole trip home. And this was a little rest stop that we took where he was happy for a short moment, and was enjoying pretending to drive the car. But yeah, it was a long trip home, which is why I thought that card in the bottom center row was quite appropriate because it says all things happy. So I kind of put quotation marks around the happy because they weren't quite happy. So this page is all done. So don't forget to play along with my Project Life challenge for this month and use a square page protector. It can be this size. It can be the 4x4 squares of 12x12 layouts. Just pick a square page protector. You could even do the giant 6x6 squares on that 12x12 page protector that I really, really struggle with. Just play along with the square format and I'd love to see what you come up with. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and I'll see you very soon. Bye!